Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another mod that allows you to teleport from one place to another instantly. And well, this one is called the Stargate Rings, which is a rework of the original Stargate Rings mod that makes it much more smaller, much more compact. And well, for a quick demonstration, what I'm going to do, ignore all these other chaps right here, is stand in the ring, hit the big button, and I'm now on the moon surface 50 kilometers away, which is its maximum range. We'll talk more about that a bit later. This mod you simply add it through the mod menu. In the spawn menu, you're going to have these options right here, which include the Eye of Ra, which is from the original mod, as well as these blocks right here from this brand new mod, which are a lot smaller than the original one. Simply add them onto your hotbar, which I've already done, and I'm just going to copy that color and put it on the side right here. So we've got two options with this thing. We've got one where the button panel sticks all the way up, and the other one where the button panel is in the floor. So you choose which one is more suitable for the location you're teleporting to. So say if you have an area where you're going to have vehicles driving over the top, you'll probably want to have this flush one right here. But having built up against the wall as an actual proper teleport system to get off a ship, you can then use this button panel like so. Anyway, hiding all that, so you need to see all their signals. Going to press G once again, come into here, look at the cost, and well, as you can see, this thing is bloody expensive. You're using one hell of a lot of superconductors, so yes, you're not going to be building this for a very long time in survival mode. If you do want to use it in survival mode, there is the Eye of Ra, which is only still plays with computers, which is a very odd thing, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. But no, what we're going to do one more time is just go back down to the Otherlight planet, then we'll go through all the restrictions this has. So simply walk up to it, we hit the button, and after a short delay, there we are. Do it one more time to see the animation. There's the rings go all the way up, and there we are back on the ship. We keep doing that, rings go up, and for whatever reason, it decided not to teleport me. Not really sure why that happened. In fact, I'm not even sure what's going on now, so let's just move on to the next thing. So the restrictions for this mod. So the way this works is basically it's a glorified elevator because you have to be either above or below the other platforms. If you want to have it on the left and right hand side, forwards or backwards, it's not going to work. So if I had a teleporter over here on a different grid, I want to teleport over to that one, it's not going to work. No, it has to be above, it has to be below, but it does have a fairly forgiving area which it can detect the other platform. I believe it is 40 degrees, which is not too bad to actually line up. But no, you have to be directly on top of it to actually make it work. So hopefully this will now actually work again. So clicking this, because I really want to be down on the moon to continue on. And there we are, now it's actually working properly, and I'm back on the moon surface, roughly 50 kilometers away. 50 kilometers is the maximum range this thing can handle. Can't go any further than that. You can go as close as you want. But if you want to go super duper close, you can use the other block, which is the Eye of Ra. So what this is basically a pinpoint targeting system for the teleported device. So what you'd have is only one of these things, not one above it, not 150 kilometers away, just this and then the Eye of Ra. It'll connect to the eye and allow you to teleport anywhere without having to have a receiving platform. So for a demonstration of this, what I'm going to do now is fly over to this area. We've got a small little ship. Down below here is the Eye of Ra, so it's pointing down directly onto the ground. And if I come up on the inside, where the door has gone, here it is, I'll then have another teleporting pad. So there we are, so there is the Stargate Ring, that's all been set up. I can now hit this. What's going to happen is, I've now been ejected down onto the ground. And while this thing can only handle 50 meters, so it is good for basically just keeping your ship in the air, in case it's too risky to actually get landed down onto the ground. But now you're probably thinking, how do I get back up? Well, of course, I can always jetpack all the way back at the ship, get inside that way. But if you're using a mod, if you're using a very hardcore survival mode, where you can't actually use your jetpack correctly, or the jetpack's being disabled entirely, well, there is an actual safety mechanic built into this to allow you to get back up to the teleporter without needing to do any of that. So to do this, you will need to be able to remote control the ship. So I'm going to press I, remote control that. I'm now going to reactivate the teleport pad, reactivate the Stargate Ring. And what's going to happen is, there we are, I've now been teleported into the ship. Do excuse what's happening here, because the way my ship has been designed does make it a bit funky with how it actually, well, tries to pick up the engineer. Hopefully I can try and get out of this. As you can see, I am inside the ring, and it should work all nice and proper. Oh, in fact, actually, I've been ejected out the top here. So I'm now back on the ring, back in the ship. I need to use my jetpack. But yes, as I was saying, my ship is a bit wonky with how it's been designed, so it tends to get stuck in the ring. Not too much I could do about that, but it was the first ship I found in the spawn menu that was suitable for this showcase. But no, for an actual demonstration of how to actually set this up, so you put the teleporter ring in your ship, in your base, and then somewhere else, it doesn't need to be attached onto the ship, onto your base, you put the Eye of Ra. For the sake of the showcase, I did attach it onto this ship so I can actually point it somewhere and teleport down to the ground. But if you want to have a little platform somewhere else where the IRA is active, you can just shove it down and you will just get popped out right next to it if you are connected to it. By connected, I mean hovering above it so the actual platform can see where the IRA is. Anyway, flying back up to this doorway, don't know why I did that. When I come into here, I can now right-click this. So in we come to the control panel, scrolling all the way down, and here we are. So this is the direction of where it's set by default on above and below. You said it'd be only above or only below if you want to have a safety mechanic. So if you have people below you, we do want to get up to the teleporter, you can disable that, make it above only. So over here we've got eye only, so it would now completely ignore any other platforms below you and will only look for the Eye of Ra to use the teleportation system. So I can click that, that's now all activated, and now just mouse click that, and back down to the ground I go. There we are, now just drop down, and once again, just use the remote control, and well, teleport myself back up. Now as you saw there, I did move the ship around, so now it's lost alignment with me. So what I've got to do with this is actually line it up so the camera can see the engineer, which is going to be a little bit difficult. Now I'm going to try one more time. And there we are, I'm now back in the ship. I can now disable that and just go and fly away. That's how that works. Of course, if you're not sure where the eye is actually going to be going, you can use the camera on the Eye of Ra. It is a functional thing. So come into this, drag that down, click view, and there we are. That's exactly what I'm going to be dropped off when I activate the teleport system. With that, what I'm going to do now is just hop out of this, fly all the way away, back over to this platform, wherever it's gone, should be somewhere around the corner, and there it is right there, because now it's time to test out how many engineers I can shove into this. We're going to go back up to the ship, click that button, up we go to the Albatross, and there we are. So what I'm going to do now is just position myself like so, grab another one of these characters, shove onto the platform, another character over here, shove them onto the platform if I can. There we are, grab this one, onto the platform, this one, onto the platform. It's getting very cramped inside here. He should be okay, so I'm going to activate this, and there we are, we're now all on the moon's surface, ready to do our work. And of course, if you want to send them back up to the ship, if you'll say done with your friends, you don't have to be on here. You can simply click it, and away they go, back to the ship. Pressing that, and here we are once again. I'm going to send them back down. There we are, back into this. So you can send people up and down, you can censor up this system so you can have it automatically activate when you step onto the ring, if you want to do that, much like an automatic door system. But if you just want to send people up and down, you have that option, just clicking it and sending them away. And I suppose one final thing I could do with this thing to actually showcase what's going on, in fact I can think of two more things I could showcase with this, is I'm going to set myself back up on a platform. So yes, bearing in mind the other characters are sitting on the platform, I'm now going to go up to the ship, and there we are. As you can see, I'm now the only one on this platform. Back down onto the moon's surface, I have to swap places. So you can safely do this. There's not going to be any kind of body horror malfunctions that happen with this, and kind of teleporter incidents. No, you see me just swap places with people, all fine and dandy. Guess what I actually want to be is on this platform, so you can bugger off. There we are. What I'm going to do with this is spawn in some clan cola. I'm going to just drop down, I don't know, it's good spawn in about, that'll do. Dropping out onto the ground, activating this. There we are, the clan cola did not teleport through for whatever reason. Not really sure if that's a bug or not. But if I was to use a steel block, a small steel block, and activate this. There we are, it's now being set down to the moon's surface. So, selecting the right character, and well, I have no idea where that steel block has gone. I'm going to set up another one. There we go, that's now dropped down onto the ground. Activating that. Goodbye, steel block. Up to here. And there it is, so God knows where the other one went. It seems to have just vanished. I know we just talked about not having a teleporter malfunction or anything like that. And well, that's just kind of odd that it just completely disappeared. And of course, you can teleport along with it, so putting that down, standing on the platform with it, being very careful here. That should do. Activating that, going along the journey with the block. And there we are, we're now down on the moon's surface once again. With that, what I'm going to do now is spawn a land vehicle to see if this works, because I did not actually test this out if it does work. What I've got to do is find a nice small vehicle. So in this list of thousands of blueprints, I need to find a tiny little vehicle. Might even have to search for this, so looking for a rover. That'll do quite nicely. Dropping that down. And now what I'm going to do is hop inside it, grab hold of another character, activate the platform if I can. There's button, and There we go. The land vehicle got teleported along, although it did come out in a very odd position, so do be aware of that. But yes, it looks like you can actually teleport land vehicles. Now that has put a very bad idea into my head, so what I'm going to do now is swap this, delete it, and put in an even bigger vehicle down onto the moon surface. So down we go once again. There we are. And pushing you away, because we don't need you for the moment. And I'm going to find an even bigger vehicle to see what happens. And there we go, I've now got it perfectly onto the platform. Took me several tries to actually get this done. There is the button. Will it teleport? Up it goes. And no, it did not. Perhaps if I got inside it, it might teleport, so finding the seat to actually control this thing, which I believe was, yep, over here. Finding that other character. In fact, what I will do is just turn this character down, see what happens with this. There we are, just being shoved inside that ship. So no, it does not look like it can be teleported up to the Albatross. It seems like it is small blocks only, but we'll double check that one. Here we go with a large block. Dropping it down. Onto that poor engineer. Teleporting it up. And it actually worked this time. It is a little bit inconsistent with whether it wants to do stuff or not during my testing. Well, as I was saying, it is a little inconsistent on what it teleports and what it doesn't. I'm not too sure what actually happened there, where the steel block has gone. But no, it seems to have completely vanished. It could have been cleaned up, I'm not too sure. But no, what I will do is now try another thing, a small ship. So here we are on the moon surface once again. What I will do is spawn in the good old Dex fighter. There we are, that's now on the platform, hitting the button. Will it get teleported up? No, it did not. It just got bumped away. And well, that's that for the Dex fighter. So moving that away, letting that flow off into the distance. I suppose one more thing I could do is maybe try moving across a cargo container. So into this small cargo container, that one should work absolutely fine. So dropping that down, teleporting it up. That is now gone. Putting a large cargo container down, dropping that on the floor, activating that. And no, it just gets bumped away. But looking up on the Albatross, onto this one, it has disappeared. So I'll do it one more time for ending this video. There we go. I'll come back down to the moon surface. Oh god, what's happening there? Let's just go and ignore that one. And now come onto this platform. Dropping myself down, hitting the button, and there we are. Looking down on the moon surface. And well, there we are with the inconsistencies once again. So yes, I'm not too sure what's going on with that, why some blocks work, why some don't. Some just disappear, and some work correctly. It's a complete gamble, or whether that goes through, but nevertheless, at the end of the day, for its intended purpose of teleporting you from one place to another, it works bloody fantastic. And once again, it only works above and below, or via using the IRR. As for that, I believe that is enough of me messing around with this mod. It's a fantastic little thing to use in your world if you want to have an instantaneous teleport system that does have a safety system built into it. So you can't just teleport to it willy-nilly, you have to be within range of it, you have to be within a certain angle of it, say above and below, make it function. And while there'll be a link to its description below, do check that out and play it yourself. Highly recommend you do. I'll be back with another video sometime soon. Bye bye.